Why should Ivorians dissolve the IEC, Independent Electoral Commission? Part 2 and end. We are facing a betrayal of our national identity, a sale of Côte d'Ivoire to foreign hands to serve an empire of lies. Every Ivorian should rise up against this theft of our very essence, because our survival depends on it. Far from being content with manipulating the lists, the IEC goes so far as to control the conduct of the elections themselves. In 2020, polling stations in opposition areas were mysteriously closed or recorded surreal turnout rates for the regime's candidate. In 2025, the same strategy is being prepared, and this locking of the ballot boxes leaves little hope for fair elections. As a people, are we going to remain inactive in the face of this spectacle of masquerade, which transforms us into mere extras in a locked election? The IEC, in its current configuration, violates the political agreements signed for national reconciliation, notably those of Linas Marcuses in 2003. These agreements provided for a truly independent institution, reflecting the diversity of Ivorian political actors. Today, the African Court on Human and People's Rights also issued reservations, denouncing the lack of independence of the IEC and calling for reforms. Several international institutions, such as the EU and the UN, have expressed concerns about the transparency of elections in Côte d'Ivoire. If the IEC continues to operate under regime control, Côte d'Ivoire could face economic and diplomatic sanctions. Political instability and distrust of international investors directly affect the national economy and the lives of citizens. The IEC should be a body representing all of Ivorian society, but in reality, it is largely dominated by members affiliated with the government. Representatives of the opposition and civil society are marginalized, compromising any hope of fair and transparent elections. We have not forgotten the pain of 2010 to 2011, the lives lost, the broken families, the suffering of an entire people plunged into a civil war. If we turn a blind eye today, the same causes will produce the same effects, and our country will risk further destabilization. Do we want to relive these horrors, allow our Côte d'Ivoire to once again be taken hostage by a power ready to do anything to impose itself? Let us not remain passive in the face of this repetition of abuse. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this evening to talk about elections. But to talk about elections, to whom? To the knowledgeable. So the theme that summons us here this evening is the following: electoral process, organization of the presidential election in Côte d'Ivoire. Is the IEC ready to take on the challenge of a peaceful election? The election allows citizens to express their will without constraint. This is why the election cannot be linked to violence. The election is therefore opposed to violence. And it is aware of how scary the election is today that the bar invited the Independent Electoral Commission. For us, when we are asked the question of whether the Independent Electoral Commission can meet the challenge of a peaceful election, I answer, yes, the Electoral Commission can meet the challenge of organizing a peaceful election provided that the other stakeholders get involved in favor of peace. Yes, the Electoral Commission can organize peaceful elections because its composition attests to it. Then, the rules that protect members also attest to this. Its operation attests to this. And his experience too. Its composition attests to this, because the Commission is made up of all the active forces of the nation. This is called an inclusive commission. All those who are interested in electoral matters are, according to the legislator, in the Independent Electoral Commission. This is to dispel doubts. To dispel suspicion. Above all, to dissipate the shares taken. When we look at each other, we respect each other. If I ever wanted to circumvent the law or put pressure on the law, the presence of the other will dissuade me. Hence the inclusive nature of the Independent Electoral Commission. I did not say that we do not revise the electoral list. I say that for us, it's not an agenda that I particularly have. It's the law. It is the law which says that the provisional electoral list must be ready 3 months before the election. After the provisional nature, there is litigation. After the litigation, there is the insertion of the decisions resulting from the litigation. When will we have our final list if we decide to take other people? But aware that we could harm some of our compatriots, what did we do? We cast a wide net in 2025. You know, when you come to register on the electoral list, you must be at least 18 years old, because to be a voter, you must be 18 years old. So the quality of voter at this age is assessed when you come to register on the electoral list. But exceptionally, we have said that we will take all the people who are not 18 years old, but who will be before the publication of the provisional list in 2025. But every choice has a positive side as well as a negative side, but it's the law that distinguishes that. It's not me, because even when we're going to do the review before the elections, what about those who were born in November who will be 18 in November? Where do you put them? Because that too needs to be said. But a choice always causes harm. But as far as doing this little, if you can reduce the negative effect of the law, you should do it. And that's what we do. But when you act like we're opposed, you're right. We don't even have any interest in not doing that. You will blame the Independent Electoral Commission for not having organized the elections in 2025 and for not having included citizens aged 18 on the electoral list. So I would rather you criticize me for not registering any Ivorians on the electoral list than for not organizing the elections. If the Commission takes all kinds of operations and it does not meet the deadlines, what do we do? You are going to anathema, discredit the little credit we have. So please, we have not said that we will not revise the electoral list. But we'll see. The agenda I am talking about is the agenda that arises from the law. It's the law that says you must do this and when, you must do that and when. So when we do it, we have a timeline to make. It pains me because we have the impression that there is a particular interest in keeping or maintaining ourselves. No. That's not what it's about. The law says that we took office on September 17, 2019. In principle, our mandate ends on September 17, 2025. It's not me alone. That's everyone who's here. But the law says that if the end of the mandate coincides with an election in the next 6 months, the team remains in place to organize these elections. And this law is Law Number 2022 of November 23, 2022. It's not mine, it's the 5th paragraph. Ivorians, the hour of truth has come. The IEC is not our ally, she is the instrument of our oppression. Every citizen has the duty to stand up, to refuse this charade which attempts to pass itself off as a democratic institution. Our children deserve a country where their voice counts, where every citizen has the right to a transparent electoral process. By remaining silent, we become complicit in this theft, we betray our own country. Let us demand the dissolution of the IEC to save our democracy and preserve the future of Côte d'Ivoire. The time has come for mobilization. Let us not remain inactive in the face of this predatory regime, ready to do anything to capture our future. Alassane Ouattara and his clan want to make us foreigners in our own country. We have a duty, as Ivorians, to stand up and protect our identity, our sovereignty, and our dignity. This fight goes beyond political divisions, it is a question of national survival. The days of this regime are numbered, and those who continue to betray the people will have to answer sooner or later. Ivorians, we must demand the dissolution of the IEC to save our democracy and preserve the future of Côte d'Ivoire. Chris Yapi does not lie. Find Chris Yapi on his 2 YouTube channels, his Rumble channel, his TikTok, X, Instagram, VK and Threads accounts.